Hey, gods and goddesses, let's talk about Mars and astrology. Mars is the god of war. Mars is our vitality, and it is very important for us to understand where Mars is in our natal chart and how to work with our sign and the house placement. So, I'm going to go over all the 12 signs and the house that it's in. So, Mars is ruled by Aries, and Mars is really a sign of, or a planet of strength. It is a planet of violence, war, explosion, fire. It is a planet that really displays your willpower, like what you're really going to do to get the things that you want. And depending on the sign, this is how you're going to do it. And depending on the house, this is where you do it best. And in my opinion, Mars is our vitality. It is the most crucial part when it comes to us keeping up with our bodies, our health, us aging, how we are showing aggression, how we're showing our emotions, how we're displaying anger and things of that nature. And these things have a really big impact on your physical vessel. So Mars is our sexual relationships, it is how we assert our power in this world to get the things that we want. And because Mars is going to get what it needs to get, it's going to trample over what it needs to get over. It's really quarrelsome in that way and aggressive in that way. Depending on the sign, this is how you're going to do it. And, planet Mars is really a planet about leaping into the things that you want to do. And depending if you were born, if it was like in retrograde, where, that's a little bit less of Mars energy and more of reflecting back what needs to be done, more of like, hey, let me take care of my body now. Let me figure out my vitality. Let me figure out, the organisms that exist within inside of my body and how it can put me into action. If you're born with Mars in retrograde, this in your chart, this is more so what, your Mars in retrograde is meaning that whenever it is time for you to take physical action on something, you need to reflect upon it. You need to reflect upon it in ways where you're like, am I physically capable of doing this? Am I keeping up with my body in order to have capability to do something? And Mars, it really brings up like this competition too within us, depending on the sign. If you have Mars in Aries, you're definitely a competitor. But if you have Mars in signs of, I mean, even Mars in Cancer can even be competitive. So honestly, Mars in each sign can have this competitiveness to it. I really feel like it's a fiery planet, right? It's a planet that is strength, courage, conquer. And in my opinion, it is also a planet of our sexual impulses. In Vedic astrology, Scorpio rules over Mars. Well, Mars rules over Scorpio, which is our sexual organs. And here, this is where Mars governs. Mars governs our sexual organs. He governs our physical endurance as well. And what I mean by he, I mean by your physical vessel. Okay. So Mars is our physical vessel. It is our masculine energy. We have these emotions which would be Venus, where we want to get the things that we want in life. And we want to display all of these, good things. We want this beauty and this love and all these great things to come into our life and surround ourselves with nice possessions. However, what are you going to do to get them? And what can you do to get them? Not that you have to physically fight, but in actually internally, because Mars is over the first house, this is a fight between you and a battle that you must win in order to birth a new self. You see, like Mars is, depending on the sign as well, but Mars is excellent in battle, right? Whether there is a strategy, if you have Mars in Virgo, whether it's paying attention to detail, whether it's having to go to a different, war zone, whether it's whatever it needs to do, whether it has to be sneaky, but Mars will go to the lengths to get these things done because it has endurance, and it rules our passions as well. It's fire. So whatever you're passionate about, it literally will be destructive about it to get these things done, but Mars has to do with our anger and has to do with accidents as well. Mars is ruling over, sharp objects, weapons and things of that nature, and anything that, can physically harm you. This is what Mars, is ruling over. I do think that the negative side of Mars's power, it can cause injury or illness, because remember, when we have a negative or even anger, pumped up in our vessel, pumped in our body, and it's not physically outwardly, expressed, or even emotionally expressed, because sometimes physically we are unable to express ourselves, and all depending on your sign. but it can cause illness, in some way, keeping anger in the body, you know what I'm saying, instead of letting it out, depending on your sign. Mars was over earthquakes as well, shaking things up, violence, like literally the destructive patterns, tension, and not even destructive where they can be destructive to you, but Mars is really not trying to get you to destroy, it's trying to get you to have courage and to do things, right? And sometimes accidents do happen when we're playing sports, because Mars is sports. We want to become good at a sport. Sometimes we have to get hurt in order to become good at this. And so Mars is really a planet, I do think it's of quick action, of quick action, of quick knowing, of hating being ordered to be ordered around, but wanting to be the first to make the decision, the first to say, let's go. In a way, it can be really argumentative as well, right? Wanting to be reckless, wanting to encounter, really wanting to really encounter sexual encounters where they can be dominant. These Mars people are ruled by Mars in the first house, Aries risings, a Scorpio in the first house. This is really like, you know, you're a very strong individual, and your sexual nature is very healing in that way, because Mars rules over, the eighth house as well. The eighth house is as well as the first. This is really us, our physical capability and our identity being asserted to this world as something that matters, as something that's announced in a way of, hey, this is my grand entrance, right? And so depending on your ascendant sign, definitely check for your ascendant sign and see what planets that you have in the first house, because Mars was over the first and the eighth house. And so I really want to say that, honestly, the highest form of Mars and the highest manifestation of Mars and all this unleashed power and ego and all this stuff and this anger, the highest manifestation is to use your will and to use your forces in a way that is constructive, because Mars is a force. It is a force of ascension, assertion, and all types of things, characteristic. There is you know, um, a battle that we must face in life. And Mars is where we can assert our will, and where we can also be quick tempered, where we can also be impatient, where we can also be impulsive. But on that side, we are made strong. On the opposite side, we are strong. We are leaders. It is an adventure. Life is an adventure. And wherever Mars is in your chart, you are the pioneer. Okay, so let's get started. Mars in Aries or Mars in the first house? Okay, so Mars in Aries is in its natural home, right? So if you have this placement, congratulations. You are not just someone who has anger problems, but someone who knows how to use their anger in constructive ways, or can be able to use practices that help this. So congratulations. But anyway, this is a really brilliant placement, because this is a fiery force, of energy. And, the first house, or Mars in the first, is our assertion to the world, our intention. This is our persona, our identity, our personality. And someone who has Mars in the first house or Mars in Aries is seen as someone who is blunt, competitive, very good at sports, a very forceful character, but they have a lot of self-confidence, which is great in this reality. They are able to, really be courageous. They're able to be honest, they're able to have tact, they're able to tackle a lot of things in a lot of things that come at them that require them to be physically um, you know um, physically capable of doing something. And so, these people are extremely active and assertive when it comes to their sex life. I will say that if you have Mars in the first house, be careful about your, sexual encounters with other people. Always make sure that you are, everyone's getting tested for, different types of diseases and things of that nature, because, this is the sexual planet of Mars. So diseases and things that are dis-ease in the body, actually, let's just say that shows up when we're dealing with Mars, right? And so think about so actually not think about this. Actually, Mars in the first house, there is a quick like initiativeness to everything, right? Because you can get things done, and whether it's just like your professions just seem so much bigger to you, right? You will have this domineering attitude to win and everything. Mars in the first house and Mars in Aries is just designed to win. The battle is to win. They come here really making this appearance where it comes to, they're able to they're making this appearance of domination, right? And they're able to respond to ideas with like I wouldn't say forcefulness, but with attack, with someone who knows what they're talking about, where they can just be, they're quick to answer, right? But sometimes this is not the best because, Mars in the first house can also be very hot headed, right? It can, when I mean hot headed, it can be so filled with passion and fire that it's unable to really express it somewhere in ways. This is why it's always good to, play sports. And if you have a child that has Mars in Aries, this will be a great way to teach them about their, anger and all that stuff because they're easily angered. Aries is a sign of the baby. It is a sign of, I'm gonna sit in the corner until you give me what I want. But as you, as you grow up in time and Aries mature, they start to see like, okay, if I want it, I'm gonna go get it, and that's how I'm gonna go get it. And so, Mars in the first house Mars in the first house really shows us that when you, this can be impulsive in some way, right? But as you assert yourself in ways, you get more things in life. It's like, more you're physically capable of getting things done. You're physically capable of making anything possible when you're working hard or when you're the one doing it. See, Mars in the first house, it has to be you. You're the one doing it. You're the one love making. You're the one being the peacemaker. You're the one asserting yourself. You're the one being courageous, and then others around you will see this of you, and this is your identity. This is your persona. Depending on what other planets you have in your first house, this would be, Mars in the first. Okay. And so there is a strong sense to your sexual desires, which, trust me, I get it. We all have, our Mars placements. But I do want to just stress on the fact that you must always take care of your physical vessel because you have a healing energy and like the passion. Like, let's just say that your sex drive is a one of, the best, right? And a lot of people will notice this about you. And it's always really important, not to be so willing, you know what I'm saying? But willing, but be so discerning, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are a very sexual creature if you have Mars in the first house, and it is just so important for you to use, it to not be like pushy because this is accident prone as well, but use it to be more domineering and more assertive of things that you actually want in your life and approaching projects with this energy and with this confidence and approaching anything with confidence like it's already sure to be yours, right? And so that's Mars in the first house, and that's Mars in Aries. So let's move to Mars in the second and Mars in Taurus. Mars in Taurus and Mars in the second. If you have Mars in Taurus, this is going to be you having your own determination and your own persistent efforts. Your own efforts are going to bring you whatever you need, your vitality. As you move through, like, you have to move slow when it comes to when you're dealing with Taurus, because the second house is our possessions, our monies and our means and things of that nature, our loyalty, our true love. And, it being in the second house, thinking about the senses as well. The senses are activated. As I said, Mars is a very sexual planet, right? And so there is a lot of sexual pursuits if you have Mars in Taurus. There's a great deal of energy that surrounds you when it comes to, like your passions and love affairs. You dominate and it's really passionate, right? And even if it comes to like materialistic possessions, slow and steady wins the race. Really, with Mars in the second house, there is a sense of whatever you want, you can get, but your vitality is very slow. It's very steady. It's like, that's what's going to drive you to success, like laying down pieces and pieces, because the second house is our money house, is our gaining house. So if you have Mars in here, you have the capacity to gain a lot of possessions, so the difference is, I feel as though rises when Mars is in the second, is because if you're unwilling to see anyone else's points of view, because like I said, you're going to get whatever you need to get, because nature, like the second house is nature, like nature always provides, right? So spending time in nature, putting your senses in nature, you have the ability to start creating things through like your vitality, through power, through touching and things of that nature, right? And so sometimes you can even bend towards, like having like tantrums within the second house as well, because it's like if you don't get what you want because you know that you can, it sends you on a little bit of a spiral. Not that, not that you're spiraling. It's more of like a little bit of a depression phase, more of a, like a little tantrum phase. Like, why can I get the things that I want? Almost like crying out a little bit, but that's when you are not getting what you want. But usually in life, you will get what you want, depending on what is going on in your second house as well. I do natal chart readings. So if you ever want to get a natal chart consultation, if you want to do an interpretation on your natal chart, I do that as well. If you want to dive in deep and see how you can make money in this lifetime with Mars in the second house, because this is such a great placement, definitely contact me. All my information is down below. And so when it comes to possessions, like I said, you have the tendency to not see other people's point of view when it comes to you gaining, because this is a house of gains, but your vitality is a bit slowed down. And because the second house too is a house of the voice, I feel as though when you're able to assert yourself within voice, within reason, speaking to your family with respect, because Mars in the second, they're really trying to gain gains for their family, right? This is a family house. Like, what can we get for the home, type of thing. What can we put in the home to make things more beautified? It's our possessions, right? And so Mars in the second house, this is a good earning power, so as I said, you have to be using it in the right way, depending on the degree, depending on the aspects it work it works with. Having Mars in the second house is honestly a gift, because even if you do have any type of financial crisis, you will get over it very quickly. With Mars in the second house, you can bounce back from it, right? This comes from you now building up that confidence, because second house is our confidence, our self-worth. So building your self-worth back up again, Mars always gives you this opportunity to make these things happen for you. And even money is really important to you, because Mars is in the second house, and you will aggressively go after it. So sometimes this can lead to financial crisis, as I said, but you can recover very quickly from this. So when it comes to making like new ideas, because the second house is about like us buying things, saving money, investing. So anytime you're investing in something, you want to have your own business. Second house is, you getting the resources to now use your own business with style and all of that good stuff, having this, having your own business, or spending money, or making these ideas, or whatever the case is, make sure you're not overly spending, because Mars can actually, anything in Taurus can spend and spend for the fulfillment, to feel better, to feel good. And this can just be you feeling vulnerable sometimes, because Mars and Taurus is vulnerable, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? Venus and Mars are lovers, so they get along very well. However, there is a sense of vulnerability that Taurus feels if you have Mars in the second house. So you don't always want to aggressively have to go after what you need, though it's not it's not foreign to you. You actually know how to do this. This sometimes makes you an impulsive spender, right? It makes you a little bit careless, a little hasty. Sometimes you just want to sit back and relax and have the money come to you and have it attract to you. And that's when, if you have Venus, actually not Venus in the second house, if you have Venus and Mars in the second house, wow, congrats to you. That is a lot of attraction. But even with the Taurus ruling over this house, Venus has some sense of attraction here. So there is sense of attraction where you can attract a lot of possessions into your life, and resources and things of that nature. But always make sure you're being vulnerable, right? You're being still compassionate, you're being, loving and things of that nature. You're doing things from a loving space. Yes, like money will come easy to you. So I definitely love the placement of Mars being in Taurus, or Mars being in the second house at all, like in any sign. It's a great placement. Sometimes we have to work harder than the rest, but Mars gives us the capability to be able to do that. And not always should we be running towards passion. And Mars in the second house, understand that it's not always running towards passion. Sometimes it's running towards that self-care routine that makes you feel beautiful for the day. Sometimes it's getting a style that makes you feel great when you go out and you walk out into the world. So Mars in the second house, kudos to you. This is a really great placement. So that's all I have for Mars in Taurus. If you are new to my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. If this resonates with you, please leave me a comment down below. I would love that. I'm trying to grow my channel in the year 2025, And so, well, actually, just in the years to come. So, if you can help me do that by simply just liking or something, that will be so great for me. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in Gemini. Okay, so Mars and Gemini, this is a funny duo, I think, because, Gemini is all about the mind, right? And Mars is all about action. So, this is a person who has a lot of activity that goes in the mind. They have a lot of thought forms, a lot of mental activity happening, right? And they're extremely brilliant because the activity in their brain is fired up. It's fiery. It's constantly jumping from, thought to thought. It's like a steel trap for information, right? And the concepts that Mars and Gemini, they really get into the concepts of the mind, right? And the new ideas always are spinning through Mars and Gemini's head. And this is I think this is a really good placement when it comes to thinking, right? When it comes to asserting your, intelligence, but also it can have this difficulty of arguments, right? Of, wanting to get to the conclusions fast in conversations, like being already ahead in the conversation. So it's like, I would just want to I just want to solve the problem, right? And the problem is the problem is like this indecisiveness, right? When it comes to making practical, like conclusions, because you want to make it so fast, but Gemini wants to think about them, right? Mars wants to, the sign is extremely intelligent. The thing that it is that it keeps jumping, right? It hesitates and it thinks about something else, and then it causes another delay, and then it mind gets distracted by something else, right? And then this is like, they experience desires of the mind before they experience like desires, like in reality, right? This is like making love to the mind, let's just say that, right? Mars in Gemini, through communication, right? And they love to lead others in speech. They like to lead others, like their power really comes from the voice, but it can also be very hesitant, And there is a flip side because, right, Gemini has two sides to it. It is the twins. It has two sides to it. And this can be someone who actually has a really great voice, or a really compelling voice at that, someone who's able to convince others of what they say. And someone Mars and Gemini, like I said, they will win in an argument, they will win. So it's important to not, and actually in the matters of sex as well, they will be dominant, in the bedroom, especially when it comes to speech, like these people really tell you like, hey, I love what we're doing right now. Like these people really are vocal, and then, like I said, it all depends on the other attributes of your chart. But usually, Gemini is the signs of the twins. So it has two sides to it. It can be either very practical in making just conclusions, right? It really fast in making conclusions, or very hesitant in making conclusions. And it's about finding the balance, right? And so with Mars in Gemini in the third house, this is Mars actually in this side, this is the house of communication, as I said, right? And this is asserting yourself through your mind, and you being determined and active when it comes to your speech. You're usually thinking about what you say, or usually thinking about how you're going to speak your mind, right? And you like to be the leader, and you like things to go in the way that you want it to go, right? Because the sign can be very persuasive with their voice. And this can be also, this, because this is a house of like vehicles, it can drive really, really fast, right? They can have fast cars, or want things that go just really fast. And also there can be difficulties when it comes to traveling, because, like I said, Mars causes accidents and it wants to move faster, and the mind moves way faster, within in the third house. And it being in Gemini, there is this sense of having to make love to your mind and actually rationalize things that go on in your mind, and see what is just like too hasty, and what needs like actual thought and decision making, right? So it's really important to stay alert, always stay alert when you have Mars in the third. And like I said, you're full of ideas, you're full of all of these great things, and you're able to express yourself really well and creatively. However, there's still that argument side of you. There is, because this is third house, there could be argument with relatives, There can be a lot of like arguments with people that are around you, like community people, like people you see every day. Like they're, I'm pretty sure whoever has Mars in third house has had an argument one day at a time where they have had to argue their intelligence because of someone's ignorance. And these people will always tell you about your ignorance and tell you, hey, you don't know, go find out. There's so many things to learn. There's so many ways that our mind makes up mental formulas. Mars in the third house really understands this. So this is all I have for Mars in the third house and Mars in Gemini. So I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. And if you can like or comment and share my video if this resonates with you, that would be great for me. I would love you forever. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in Cancer and Mars in the fourth house. So Mars in Cancer is in its fall. And this is a really funny placement because, Mars is our assertion to things and Cancer is our home and our emotional foundation, and this is really a house. Well, the fourth house is really a house of, our emotional landscape and what we first learn, our early parts of life and later on in life as well, how we are developing. And so Mars in this house is very subtle. It's very, it doesn't produce so well. Where it produces well is in its creativity. It's in its home. It's in building a family, building a foundation, really taking time to put whatever is important to you emotionally into your physical vessel, right? But in the best way possible. Sometimes when we are overly emotional or we have this sense of great will, because with Mars in Cancer, you have a sense of great will, but it's never just like bursted out into the open, right? This is very internal. This is an internal house. This is, your emotional wounds and landscape, right? And like this is a house where everything always changes and shifts. This is a house of cycles and waves and tides, right? And there can be a position where you could have been assaulted within the home, later in life and earlier in life, most importantly, because this is earlier in life. But it's almost like, well, I wouldn't say like, physical assault, but this is like an emotional assault, emotional abuse in some type of way, because this is the house of the mother. So in childhood, like your emotions were not met as how they should have been met, right? Or you are aggressively you watch your mother aggressively deal with emotions instead of actually processing them the right way. They were expressed outwardly through anger, right? And so, when Mars in Cancer, as you evolve, and it evolves, though it is subtle through its creativity. This is where Mars passions in Cancer shines the most. This is where everything comes to fruition for you, right? When you're passionate about your lover, when you're passionate about things that are inside of your home, when you're passionate about children, even love making can lead to intuitively, great art, right? You can be producing great art because, this is a house of our emotional wounds. So whatever you are emotionally connected to, it has to be of passion. It really has to be something that truly makes you happy, and sometimes, Mars in Cancer can actually cling on to relationships that do not make them happy, but it brings them a sense of emotional familiarity. Like they understand the familiar energy of these emotions that they feel, whether it is abuse, an emotional way, whether they're not being met emotionally, they know how this feels, so they tend to have this go on, for a long amount of time. And even in so, like Mars in Cancer, because Capricorn is on the other side, when they're able to deal with what's going on at home, then you can usually meet someone who helps you within your career, right? But they're more serious based, right? And, they're more of a boss and, you look to them and you kind of cling to them, right? But in a long term, you have to be met emotionally. And that's what Mars in Cancer is trying to get, like Mars in Cancer is in the fourth house or Mars is in Cancer is trying to get you to understand that your emotions, this is where you really thrive. This is where you can express yourself. You can only like react out of temper and out of these outbursts of crying and irritability and nervousness, for so long, right? It comes a time where you have to turn it into something. You cannot continuously allow something to have the same emotional effect on you, right? And so when Mars in Cancer puts it into action, these are the most creative people, and their vision, it's great because it's highly emotional work for them, right? Now this is something that hits home for them, right? They are used to this feeling, but they're alchemizing it into feeling something better. And Mars within the fourth house, this is house of the home. This really shows me that like you have power within your own home. You know, as I said, you have a great desire to own your own home, right? To be in your own space with your family, you know, to create a family. You have a desire to want a family, right? You want to you know, in childhood you could have had conflicts with your with adults, right, with your parents, right, but you want to be like a good parent, you want to be a better parent, not to judge your parent, but just to be, you know, uh, be better, you know, than your father, you know, be better than, because when Mars in the fourth house, this can be the father, because Mars is a masculine energy, and you can have had problems with a masculine type of energy within your childhood, right? And this comes up within the adulthood. And it's really important for Mars and Cancer to understand that you're like later in life, you have to be active, right? You have to let these things change you and shift you and move you. The things that are in childhood are so deeply internalized into our DNA codes. It's hard for us to, you know, move out of this, right? But it's so important that when it comes to like making money to and home, because you can make money from home, you can work from home, make money from home, you know, have a home business, you know, when it comes to this, be careful when it comes to, you know, domestic relations as well, because these can be emotional outbursts within the home. It's just really important, I think, with Mars within the fourth house to get some type of emotional help, you know, not even help, I will say, because it's Mars, definitely physical activity, you know, swimming in water, you know, helping women in some way. Just you have to alchemize the energy of Mars, because it's straight passion, and our emotions are just straight passion. Let's just say that, right? And you think about the moon and Mars being in the house of the fourth, like that is that's emotional aggression, but not in a way that you can outwardly put it. It is only something that you can understand internally. And so it's up to you to alchemize it, Mars in the fourth house, and use it with your creativity, because as soon as you use what you endure, right? Because it's house of endurance, what you endure, you have to alchemize it. As soon as you do that, everything will fall in your lap that you actually want. You want a legacy for your family, right? You want to build a home for your family. This is where this comes from. You now understanding that, hey, I do have these emotional ties, but they're used so that I can gain emotional intelligence, and use this emotional intelligence to make it in some to an art piece, right? Or to make it has to be some type of art. So let's just say it has to be some type of creativity. You know, it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be all types of stuff. You know, fourth house, it could be homemaking, you know, cleaning, all types of stuff, right? And these are beautiful ways to alchemize and work with this energy. But Mars in Cancer, you have extreme creative energy that can really take you places when you're able to confront them. So that's Mars in the fourth house, and Mars in Cancer. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. If this video resonates with you, can you please like, comment, and subscribe, or share it with someone? Definitely tell me your Mars placement. I am trying to grow my channel, so if you can help me do that, that would be great. Thank you so much, and I will love you forever. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in Leo. This is fun. This brings our focus to the fiery energy of Leo, but the Leo that exerts confidence, right? Leo's ruled by the fifth house. So this is Mars and Leo in the fifth, and Mars in Leo. So okay, so with this position, I really like this position when it comes to making grand plans, when it comes to turning your creativity into an entrepreneurship, when it comes to taking your expression to a whole nother level, when it comes to love making, you know, even the mind, when it comes to romantic partners. This is a really fun placement, right? These people are brilliantly intellectually stimulated within the brain. Yes, but I'm saying, I mean, actually within the heart, within the brain, yes, because, you know, Mars rules over the brain. Oh, Mars rules over the brain structure and things of that nature. But like in Leo, it is ruling over the heart, which sends messages to the brain, right? So this can be extremely hot-blooded and impulsive, but they're doing things based off their heart space. Like they're doing things because they want a luxurious life. They want rich surroundings around them. They want to be creative, but sometimes it's really overbearing, right? And sometimes, you know, it could be, hey, it's all about me. You know, it's all about what I need to say, what I have to do, what is important to me. This is where, you know, Mars and Leo comes from. But this also placement can do a lot with gambling as well. You know, they can be attracted to gambling, attracted to like these games that bring them simulation, like this fun that brings them simulation. Actually, they have a lot of luck with this too, because they're like this is a magnet in some type of way, right? They're lucky in that type of way. Also, when it comes to attracting like those powerful friends, because fifth house is a house of fame and people that are, I wouldn't say out of reach, but they're fun, they're entertainers, right? And you know, these people who have Mars and Leo have access to now, you know, like being able to communicate with them or being able to attract them, being able to put in plans into action to meet them. It's almost like they have this luck and miracles comes into this, especially when they are affectionate around it, and they do things to get attention, right? They do things to get like great attention toward them, not the you know, the dramatic attention, because Mars and Leo on the other side, it can be that dramatic attention. No, but when it comes to like being warm and assertive and being expressive, you're being vulnerable in that sense. This is how you can attract those, you know, around you that can provide you those rich surroundings and things of that nature. I think that you're really lucky when it comes to gambling. Not that I would say, hey, let's just go gambling, you know, and do anything on luck, you know, based off of luck. But I will say, you know, things of Bitcoin and things of, you know, actually it depends on your chart. This is why it's always good to get a consultation. If you would like to get a consultation with me, all my information is down below. But marking with Mars, there is a sense of like fun gambling entertainment where you can find luck in these things, like indulgent lottery, right? And I would definitely be playing, well, Mars is going to be in Leo. When Mars is in Leo, I would definitely recommend playing, you know, the lottery, playing different numbers that come to you, you know, within your dream, within your heart space, numbers that you continuously see from the universe, right? Okay, that's definitely off topic, but I definitely would advise that for Mars in Leo, because they have a lot of luck in this place, and it comes most importantly when they're in this loving aspect, and you're in the aspect of the low vibrational frequencies of Leo, where there is self-centeredness, right? And there is this sense of manipulation, right? There is this overindulgence. Things don't work as good as they can. They become destructive, and that's when Mars comes in and starts destroying these things, right? But Mars in Leo can play out really well because Leo is a fire sign as well. So I do think that, you know, surrounding yourself with luxurious things and luxurious people and feeling good about yourself and confident in yourself, also remaining humble, you can attract a lot of luck with this placement, depending on other placement. And then with Mars in the fifth house. Okay, so Mars within the fifth house. Mars in the fifth house. This is someone who's going to be, they're going to be someone who is exerted when it comes to expressing themselves, you know, someone who takes really great appreciation in the ability to exert themselves. Sometimes it can come off as cruel, you know, sometimes it could come off as too much, you know, as too aggressive in some way, you know, depending on the sign too. But Mars in the fifth house, this is a house of creativity. Like I said, you can be extremely creative, you know, and impulsive when it comes to love partners too, because fifth house is the house of love affairs and love romances. And so you can have a love for sports, you can have a love for all of these things that involve entertainment and fun, you know, dating scene and things of that nature, and children as well. You can have really good luck with them. You can be a really great parent, you know, wanting to take charge. Your children can be really good at sports as well if you have Mars in actually if you have Mars in Cancer, right? But also if you have Mars in Leo as well, you can have a child that is really good at sports, you know, but always be careful because they want to be a winner, right? And you want to be a winner if you have Mars, and you want them to be a winner. Like this is the Mars in the fifth house is the house of the winner, right? And it sometimes this can cause conflicts with loved ones too, because the ego is so big, because this is like a lucky I wouldn't say luck, but this works really well because this is another fire sign, and your passions become so put to the front when you start focusing on things like love making, things like when I mean like love making, things that actually make you feel good. It doesn't always have to be, you know, that physical force, and this could be impulsive when it comes to partners as well. So I would definitely always be cautious when it comes to like diseases within the body too, because, you know, Mars is accident prone, and in Leo there is this sense of like not the best lover, right? And we're not choosing the best lover, and Mars and Leo can be very aggressive in that way. You're not going to do what I say. It's not about me. I'm going to burn the whole house down type of thing. And it's really funny in that way to me, but it's actually very serious, because Mars in Cancer really takes these conflicts to the heart, and the heart is everything. The heart really manifests for us, and if we feel so deeply within the heart, it manifests outwardly, because these become our emotions now, and it becomes our physical vessel. Now our cells are listening to us, right? So if you have Mars in Leo, it's always great to stay physically active, right? Play those sports, be the boss. You know what I'm saying? Be the boss, be competitive, but in the most healthy way possible, in a way that boosts up everyone's confidence on the team. Mars in the fifth, this is you having to work together with a team. And this is beautiful in a way, because this builds you up. It really does build you up, your confidence, and you're always like you always have this magnetism that happens, right? Where people come, like people are just drawn to you, right? You're a winner. They're drawn to you. And even like I said, this could be the house of fame. And you're the people that you want to meet. Sometimes you meet them in life because you're like, how did I do it? Because you're attracting this. If your heart really wants it, your heart is an open space, your heart is the void. It will receive when you're ready to receive, right? And this is good when it comes to drawing people in, you know? Oh, so that's all I have for Mars and Leo and Mars in the fifth house. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. And I'll see you guys in the next video. If you can like, comment if you resonated with my video, and definitely share it too if you resonated with it. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and if you can help me do that, that would be great. Thank you so much. I will love you forever, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in Virgo and Mars in the sixth house. So the sixth house is our daily routines, right? But it is also the house of this is the house of dis-ease, right? This is a house of the body, of working out, our mental health. So Mars being in this house, this is an ambitious worker. This is a very proud, worker, right? Someone who has to work a lot when it comes to finding their success. They have to have this, I want to say a lot, but they have to have this approach and this plan when it comes to getting things done in the everyday day-to-day life. They have to have a systematic approach when it comes to making things, a day-to-day plan. What am I going to do today? A to-do list. And this is how they really get things done, because Mars in Virgo is able to get things done very well. This is also a sign of intellectual capabilities. They're really strong-willed. And what I mean by intellectual capabilities, like they're Mars in Virgo is able to think clearly, like think step by step to make the best outcome, right? To see the plan and go by the plan, and it turn out to be what it needs to be. And this is why they are known as being people who are very calculating in that way, because they can go by the plan and be successful. They're extremely strong-willed when it comes to separating their emotions and making decisions. They automatically can make like rational decisions, right? And thoughtful decisions and things that are logical, instead of having these emotional responses, or having even the emotional try to sway the decision, right? And so that's really good in a way, right? You're able to be calculating, and you're able to quietly make these decisions. And I mean quietly meaning that these are thoughts within the mind. These are a lot of thoughts of the mental formulas. Okay. And these are people who sometimes they never really, I won't say they never really reach a conclusion. It's almost like the conclusion is never really good enough, right? They have a sexual nature, but it's more of a mental stimulation. It has to be mentally exciting. And when it comes to not usually like reaching your conclusion, this is because Mars is fast, jumping from place to place. And Mercury is our thoughts just going from, place to place. So both of them cannot really stay on one thing. And when it comes to studying, when it comes to being intelligent, Mars in Virgo is very intelligent in that way, right? And they're very intelligent when it comes to health. You know, these people could be really good doctors. You know, these can be extremely great health people who have really defined muscles in that way, you know. So it kind of makes them not um come to conclusions that, like, not come to those conclusions that need to be come to, because they're constantly jumping from thing to thing to thing. And in my opinion, this is in my opinion, they can still be successful, because Virgo is a very successful sign. So wherever you're putting your emotions, wherever you're putting, like, wherever you're thinking about, like, psychological makeups, you're thinking about whatever job you think to get yourself into, whether it's like politics, you know, whether it's like investigating something, always get into something that requires detail, because Mars in Virgo, it's like they're paying more attention to the detail than the action. And that's really what I'm trying to say with Mars in Virgo. It's like it's more about the detail than the action behind it, because when you have the details, then you know what actions to take, right? And if you don't have all the details, there are no actions to take. And Mars in the sixth house can actually show us this as well, right? And so this is really strong. I do think that the passions are really strong when you have it in the fifth house. It's like you're constantly, you think about your passions every single day. You think about what's important to you, you know, every single day. And I do think that you will be successful when you're able to just, you know, really pay attention to the detail and still make a plan, you know. So Mars within the sixth house, like I said, these individuals can have really defined muscles, because Mars rules over the definition of our muscles, so they can have really great muscles in that sense. And also, this is someone who will get the job done if you ask them to get the job done, and they're not afraid to put like, to accomplish things. They're not afraid to put themselves out there and to put themselves, well, it depends on the other placements in your chart as well, you know. Is they're not afraid to be um efficient. These are very efficient people, right? And they drive themselves hard. They drive themselves to perform at the level that they can, the highest level that they can perform at. And they have the vitality, and they have the capability to do this. You know, they have the energy to do this. Be careful, because Mars in the seventh house, I mean, in the sixth house, can be prone to accidents, especially at work, right? And accidents that it require, you know, like I said, you know, Mars, this is a house of, like, knives and weapons and things of that nature. So these people can have knives, you know, they can be interested in weapons and not have knives, but they can be interested in weapons. If they ever choose to work with a knife, they can be really good at this, you know, or sword in some type of way, or even a mirror, you know. um so this is really great in that way, because you have the vitality to do anything that you want to do when it comes to work. um but remember that there can be a argument, you know, at work. You can be really competitive to the people that are at your job, and there can be health problems because of this. And I want to say, because of this, I would say that the more that you're trying to prove your point at the workplace, the more hectic that everything becomes. Like, people don't want to talk to you anymore, you know. People are not looking at you the same, and they're looking at you like a person who just wants to start problems, but I have to see you every day. But Mars in Virgo, you know, in this sense, they're more like, well, you know, it's just at times, just, you are intolerant, and that can cause, like, a lot of conflict with coworkers, because you feel as though, pay attention to what you're doing. You know, if you're here, you need to pay attention to it. Otherwise, you know, go sit down or go home, type of thing. And, you know, Mars in Virgo is really it's really like that in a way. They want to work hard for the things that they have, not to just work hard, but it to actually have a purpose, right? And so that is Mars in Virgo and Mars in the sixth house. That's all I have for you. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you can like my channel, my goodness, like this video and share it with someone you think it might help. If it resonates with you, please leave a comment down below. I'm trying to go my YouTube channel, and you can help me do that. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys. Bye. Mars in Libra. Okay, so Mars in Libra. Think about it. You know, Mars is ruled by your sister sign, right? And so in this way, the seventh house, Mars in Libra and Mars in the seventh house. So in this way, it seems to really fluctuate when it comes to power, right? When it comes to the power struggle within relationships, almost like you want to have power in your relationships, but the other person displays power as well, right? And it's learning to work with those, that it's causes a fluctuation. And so there can be a really good form when it comes to forming like these emotional relationships. There's a lot of drive when it comes to sexual enhances within the relationships too, because you know the sexual drive is heightened when Mars is in the seventh house. Almost like with whatever partner that you get, there is it's like you must be the aggressor, or they must be the aggressor. Like someone has to be aggressive in that way. And even within the relationship as well, like someone has to stand with some type of intensity, with Mars and Libra. And, there can be like if there's any type of like injustice, that's when you get mad. So Mars and Libra is not the one to just start getting upset just to be upset. In relationships, there's like always the Mars and Libra person will always back down to make everything go a little bit more peacefully. However, if there's any type of indecisiveness, if there's any type of unfairness and there's justice that needs to be served, or if they need to stand up for something, Mars and Libra is going to stand up for their unionship and relationship, and they're going to stand up for themselves as well. Okay. And I feel like Mars and Libra is a sophisticated lover, right? But it can be the aggressor in a way. It wants to be in charge in some type of way, whether it's emotionally in charge first. Okay. And I do think that they sometimes become unhappy within their sexual relationship sometimes, because there is always this battle. I wouldn't say battle. It's balancing out the scales. If I give this, you give it. You give it as well. And I do think with Mars in Libra, these are people that will give you anything, when it comes to sexually. Like they want to be led, but they also want to be the leader as well. And I do think that this can be an excellent position for Mars, because this is where your power comes from. Your power within unionships. You see the power that you hold within relationships as well. Okay. And the reason why they become sometimes become involved in unhappy sexual relationships is almost because they need someone to show them what to do, right? So that they can do it. Not because they're not good at it, but they need to know what the other person wants and likes, because the seventh house is the house of other people, right? And so they want to know what you want, what you like, where does your life take you? Okay. And so this can be a talented position as well for Mars. Definitely unique talents can be displayed, because your relationship gives you a new sense of perspective, and a new sense of seeing how you can how you can make an impression in some way. Okay. And this is also when a good place when it comes to beauty as well. You really take time to focus on the beauty of you and the beauty of your partner. Okay. And also your environment. You want an environment that is really pleasing, that's really, I wouldn't say really pleasing and beautiful, but definitely that reflects the unionship in its greatness, right? And I do believe that like actions need to be taken carefully when it comes to making relationship decisions, or making relationships in business or partnerships, or even with exes. You always have to weigh out the pros and cons when it comes to making decisions. So you're slow to making decisions anyway with Mars in Libra. Only you start making decisions hastily when something feels threatened, or most importantly, something is unfair. And so Mars within the seventh house can feel as though you have a strong sense of being independent, right? Because Mars in this house, Mars is I am independent, and then you have me in the house of partnerships, right? And so it's like it can do well, but it can also be expressed not well, right? It all depends on your maturity, your level of maturity, your level of physical maturity. And, you know, there is a sense of wanting to be in a partnership, right? But you still want to be individual, right? And there is a impulse when it comes to being, usually you are the aggressive one. If you are Mars and Libra, like you are the aggressive one, you are the aggressor when it comes to initiating something. And you will likely marry more than one time when you have Mars in the seventh house. Yes, because, you know, Mars is very impulsive, like, let's do it quickly. And Libra is like, let's take a minute. And sometimes earlier within life, like these people actually can get married fast. You know, they can get married or get in a relationship really quick, you know. And sometimes this isn't the best because it can end in ways that are tragic, you know. And the reason why I say tragic, because when you're younger, you don't actually know how what relationships really require. They require work, and sometimes there's a lot of domestic violence within the home of the Mars and Libra, you know, and they start fighting with a partner, and sometimes it's kind of tragic because you have to end a relationship because of this, you know, because you don't really understand that, okay, everyone keeps their hands to herself, and everyone does this, and everyone, you know what I'm saying, like there is this, you know, this type of sense. But there is a lot of good sexual, you know, experiences in relationships, and there's also a person who's really charming and really loving, you know. um and there could be a lot of arguments too in relationships, definitely when it comes to the earlier parts of relationships. As you evolve, you know, as you keep learning, Mars and Libra starts to understand the power that unionships hold. Not so much wanting to be the independent one now, they want to be the independent one in the relationship, working together though, you know. And that's where they develop, you know, and that's where their Mars in Libra really starts to activate, when they start to see like, hey, actually I can use this relationship to make me thrive and push me forward and following my passions. You know, I can use this relationship to actually get better for me and that partner, you know, for me and that person. I don't have to, you know, really think about the loss and think about everything that is not going in my way. I can think about bringing back harmony to myself so I can bring back harmony to the unionship. And yes, that's all I have for Mars in Libra and Mars in the seventh house. So I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. And I'll see you guys on the next video. If you can like and share my video if it resonates with you, that would be great. Thank you so much. That would really help me out, and I would love you forever. And so I'll see you guys. Bye. Mars in Scorpio and Mars in the eighth house. Okay, so forget everything that I said about having a real sexual urge for any other sign. Listen, if you have Mars within the eighth house, your sexual urges are top notch, top off the board. You know, you're the god when it comes to this. They're really sexual urges. And what I mean by this is their nature to heal, their nature in their sacral chakra. They have to really pay attention to this, okay? Everything, you know, especially if you are a woman, your womb holds a lot, okay? And if you are a masculine energy, your seed is holding a lot. Pay attention to your sexual energies. They are important to your vital, like, existence. They are your vitality. This is your masculine energy. So in saying that, this is actually a really good position for Mars because Scorpio is ruling over Mars, right? It's a secondary, it's traditional ruler actually. And Scorpio and Mars is resilience. Let's just say that. But it's also this intensity. So that's why it works well. Scorpio is an intense sign. Mars is an intense planet. Let's put them together. There is no way that um you know, they are extremely resourceful, right? They're resourceful people. There's no way that they cannot get things done in the heat of action, okay? They have the strength of they have a strength of an army. Let's just say that, because this is Pluto's house, right? And so they have the strength of the underworld. And what I mean by this is they don't know what they're capable of until they really assert their assertiveness. So they really assert whatever they need to assert. So they really are like, okay, what do I need to do? And because this is the eighth house, and the eighth house is, you know, intimacy. It's the house of sex. It is the house of rebirth. It is the house of going underneath the surface. It's a house of secrets. And so all of these things coming to, you know, the Mars in Scorpio, a lot of secrets. People come to you, they tell secrets, you know. this is a really, emotional sensitivity sign, sensitivity, sexual sensitivity, all types of in every form, because it's really our mental formulas, but it's also our emotional responses, how well we respond emotionally, and like what do we do with it. And it is also a house of loans and possessions and losing things, and money that we owe too. And so when Mars is in the eighth house, there can be you owing money to a lot of debt. But on the flip side, you can make these things go away as well. You have the ability to get rid of them. What I'm saying is, like, this is a house of secrets coming to life, like the government and all this stuff and what's underneath the surface. And the more that you go learn, and the more that you go beneath the surface and you figure out the truth about things and the truth about life, you study the occult knowledge, the more that you will be able to alleviate a lot of things that are happening in the physical world, because this is a house of the mental, so these people can mentally rearrange their mind, and their mind will offer them a lot of resources in life, right? And so this is really intense as well, this placement. And sometimes this can be displayed as jealousy, or anger, or this type of energy, because I said there is a flip side of this, and there can be a lot of resentment and hurt feelings with this. Anger is really built when the feelings are hurt, because this is a water house, and it is the house of our psychological mental formulas. It is always important for us to make sure that we're not quarreling with our own ideas. We're not at war with our own ideas or our own emotion, because we drown in that way. And so it's important for Mars and Scorpio to be able to use their, because in relationships, this can be extremely ruthless too, in its tone, and its aggression. So it's really important to use certain attributes when it like, occult knowledge, when it comes to the studies, to find answers. You know what I'm saying? It's really important for you to do that, because it can be come out in other ways, right? And this Mars in Scorpio is extremely touchy, right? It is extremely touchy. Its love language would definitely be physical touch, depending on all of the other placements, right? But Mars enhances the imagination of Scorpio, because Scorpio is a very intuitive sign. It is a very an intuitive sign when it comes to making thoughts, like making thoughts real, right? Making mental formulas real, making the truth known, whether how ugly it is, bringing the ugly to the surface. And I really do feel like Mars in the eighth, there's this there's this powerful creative force that comes, or that drives, that is there. It doesn't come. It is there through any difficult situation that comes up. And it doesn't even have to be difficult. It could just be a halt in a situation, right? There is always there can be you attracted to professions that involve danger, that involves death, funeral homes, that involves working at places where, they take apart bodies, being doctors' offices. You really just dive in deep to the depths of death, right? And you really want to know about it, but how it plays a part in your genetic makeup, how it plays a part in your identity. It is really about settling the mind, settling not even the mind, the psychological wants and curiosity that Scorpio has. Mars in there, it's like, we're gonna find it, and you do find it, and that brings you a lot of liberation, because eighth house is a house of transformation, and so this transforms you, and in so many different ways, having Mars within this house. And throughout life, it's really important to pay attention to your sexual natures, because you can heal a lot through your sacral chakra. Okay, and so that's all I have for Mars in Scorpio and Mars in the eighth house. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. If you resonated with this video, please try to share it with someone, maybe a family member or something like that, and that way it can help them. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so if you can help me do that, that would be great. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in the ninth house and Mars in Sagittarius. So Mars in Sagittarius, the power really comes from the brilliant ideas, the brilliant flashes of thought that comes to the Sagittarius, because this is Jupiter's house, the house of the bigger than life attitude. Like, it is really the house that life is teaching you about life more than sitting in the classroom teaching you about life. And Mars going into this definitely promotes courage when it comes to adventure, taking an adventure to explore life in its orbit. There is a sense of independence that you feel. I'll travel alone. This is the person who will travel by themselves. They will go to the forest by themselves. They will literally go overseas by themselves. They don't need anyone to go with them, right? And this person can also be easily distracted, this because there's so many grand things in life. This is a ninth house. The ninth house, anything is possible. This is a house of evolution, and your actions, they may be very exciting, very over the top, very dashing, right? But also you can be easily distracted because, as I said, if you're looking at this beautiful sunset and then all of a sudden you look over here and you see this beautiful rainforest, and then you see, these beautiful animals or something like that, this is where, these people have beauty, within their vision, within their ability to see life through a bigger picture, and this makes them really enthusiastic. So this position can offer us, or actually offer Mars in Sagittarius. This can offer you a sense of like extraordinary adventure, that when it comes to exploring, there's always this beautiful place, this beautiful place that you go that really teaches you about yourself and always teaches you about your identity. When you're open and when you're passionate and sensual, you can have numerous affairs when it comes to going overseas. You know what I'm saying? And, you can tend to be really impulsive and act irrationally sometimes when it comes to maybe writing, maybe in speech, maybe you talk really fast, maybe you write really fast, but there are a lot of errors to go over, a lot of typewrites to go over, right? And you have a marvelous first impression, because as you speak, it's like you're speaking and asserting yourself to life in this beautiful way, because Sagittarius is this beautiful way, right? And Mars is this assertion, and this can come up as intent. But I do think that, you asserting yourself to that makes life seem very beautiful in that sense to you, and make you talk about life very beautiful. And even others can have you talk about life beautiful and make them think, oh, life is beautiful, And there can be emotional commitments when it comes to personal restrictions too, because it can be numerous affairs, because this is a house of Jupiter. There could be numerous affairs overseas when it comes to your sexual preferences, right? Your passions. You are going overseas. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be, right? And sometimes a sexual relationship quickly develops, and I do think that sometimes it quickly ends too, because this is health of evolution, and it's like Mars is moving fast, and so is Jupiter, and they don't want to stay in the same thing. And Sagittarius is not staying in the same sign as well. It needs to evolve, it needs to grow. But sometimes, it can start off to be like this passionate thing, but end as quickly. And I do think that you have the power to amuse people and delight people and really get people to see life in this great way, almost like they have the keys that they need to actually get the life that they want. Only they, like, these are the people that are really speaking like, hey, You can do anything you want in your life when you're able to really know who you are. You have confidence in yourself, you have confidence in your belief systems, you can make anything happen. This is Mars in Sagittarius, and I really think that their first impression is so grand and so great because Mars is the first impression, right? And Sagittarius is that bigger way of life. And so if you know so much, you're seen as someone who has all of this wisdom. This is a beautiful first impression for, or even position for Mars to be in, right? And so Mars within the ninth house, this shows up as someone who can show up as independent, right? And they're willing to learn, and they're willing to change, and they're open to change, and they're open to even, what do you call it? Um, when you uh, when you go to a different place, relocation. So they're even open to relocation, right? And you really fight for what's right. You fight for what you think is right. You fight for justice and your conviction, what you think life is. Life is this big ass fun place, and we have to say this, right? Mars in Sagittarius, right? And I can feel as though you can fight for what you think is right for you, right? And you will seek out experiences that you want to have in life that make you feel as though you're living it to the fullest. It make you feel as though there is a purpose to my identity. There is a purpose to the self. And when it comes to higher education too, this is a house of higher education. You can do really well when it comes to learning different languages, learn them really fast, learn about different cultures really fast. It's someone who's really strong, headstrong, and their finances will do well when they're able to learn more. The more that you learn, the more that you are able to increase your finances. Like education is what sparks your brain into realizing that life is bigger than we think it is, right? And having these factual ideas or even these fantasies ideas can manifest, right, when we know more about them, when we learn more about them. And so that's Saturn. Oh my goodness, that is Mars in Sagittarius and Mars in the ninth house. This is a great position for this, and I do think that they will gain a lot of financial like enhancements, or because Jupiter is our finances, Mars can be in our finances as well, so it's, as well as Venus. But those two working together, the more that you learn, the more income that you can make when you're able to really fight for your convictions. And I don't mean by physically fight, because this is a ninth house of evolution. I mean as though you preach as though what you know is right. You better preach it, and you speak life into others. Okay, and so that's all I have for Mars in Sagittarius and Mars in the ninth house. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you can like and share with this video, if you resonate with it, that will be great for me. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and you can help me do that. Thank you so much. I would love you forever, and I'll see you guys. Bye. Mars in Capricorn, Mars in the 10th house. Mars in Capricorn, this just feels like I gotta work hard, right? This is working hard physically to gain materialistic possessions or materialistic success. These people will reach success in their life, and ultimate success in coming the boss. They have to be the one. You know what I'm saying? And these people that have Mars in Capricorn or Mars in the ninth house, once they signify their force and control, and they're kept under um, not kept under wraps, I would say, like, if you are not the boss, I know that your boss keeps you as someone that's like this hidden weapon. And when you do become the boss, you can't let everyone know your hand. That's the thing with Mars in Capricorn. Like, they are very magnetic in that way, and people want to be them, inside of the workplace, and they want to be them because they're very fierce, and this Mars position shows up as fierce. So sometimes you cannot show everyone your hand. You can't show everyone like what you're in control of, if that makes sense, right? You have to be the boss and keep everyone out your business, not to just, I wouldn't say to be, you know um I wouldn't say to be harsh, but I would say to set up boundaries and protect what is important to you, right? Because your strength lies in your ability to endure, your ability to be resilient, right? And sometimes our ability to be resilient makes us a little bit cold-hearted. And sometimes that is okay, but you want to be mindful not to be cold-hearted towards your family members when you have Mars in Cancer, or even any type of relationships, in when it comes to your children as well, people that love you. And there is this sense of resilience too, right? And they're going to even be like Mars, like people want to have sex with you inside of the workplace, like these people have bosses that are attracted to them. Men usually are attracted, to you. And so it's really important that, as I always say, to have self-control too, when it comes to your spiritual nature, not spiritual nature, your sexual nature, because it's used in this earthly sense, in this passionate way, but we must have self-control, when it comes to marking our unionships. At times you can be very hot-headed, but Mars in the 10th house, this person is very sexy, they look very well, and they can even be romantic too, and romantic emotionally, yeah, that's surprising, but actually they are romantic emotionally, right? And sometimes they can come off as, like I said, cold and disheartening. If they're trying to reach some type of success, they will not have time to entertain you, right? They will only have time to entertain what is important to them, the process of this. And I do think that, these people are really powerful. And once they are directing their power to what they truly deserve, and they know that they deserve the best, I think as though they can really thrive. And these people can also have relationships with elderly people, because Capricorn is an elderly sign, or even elderly men, just being attracted to them. And this can happen within the workplace as well. Or elderly men can actually get you to where you need to be, not meaning that you need to have sex with them, meaning that they play a significant part in your passions. Always be discernment, right? You understand that becoming the boss, meaning you have to work with other people, you have to see their perspectives. But Mars, you're independent in a way, you have self-control, you know what you're worth, you understand your identity, right? And so Mars in the ninth house, um yeah, Mars in Capricorn, Mars in the ninth house, and I mean in the 10th house, in any area of your life, you will in some way, shape, or form reach public image, reach a image in life where other people are looking at you, where other people are asking you for answers, right? They're asking you, what is your perspective on this? Like, your personal ambitions will be put into the forefront. Like, people will see, what you stand for. Like, excuse me, your public image. And so Mars in the 10th house, this is your, I won't, hmm, Mars, because we become so great at stuff with Mars, with, whoever has Mars in the 10th house, because you become so great at things, because you are a boss, in that way. And whatever you do is like, will bring you success and talent in some way. Your ego, you must always watch your ego. Not that ego is built within the house, but that, you know having that cold-hearted sense, because Capricorn rules the tarot card, the devil. And the devil is like this behavior where you're gonna get it, right? And so it's like, everyone just bring it to me type of thing. And not in an aggressive sense. Well, actually, yes, in an aggressive sense, but not in a way to be cold-hearted, but in a way to get the things that you need to get in your life, right? Mars in the 10th house, this can be people who strive for success or strive for independence, to get rid of anything that interferes with that. And as I said, you always want to make sure that you're going on. You want to make sure that whatever is going on, that you're at peace within the home as well. Okay, they are really competitive within the workplace, but their self-reliance and ability to bring status within any occupation that they encounter, their ability to, bring problem solving and practical problem solving to things, is grand. This is where their Mars in Capricorn really gets activated, when they're able to bring a structural plan to something and make a decision, but make a decision that will bring them success, and not based off of what other people are talking about within the workplace. But also there can be a possibility where you are frustrated with these undeveloped goals, you know, almost like there's this frustration when things don't work as fast as they're supposed to. You know, when you're have these unrealized goals, or you have these unrealized things that you have not completed. You know, this is where, you know, Mars and Capricorn, Mars in the 10th house struggles. They don't want this. They want to complete their successes, right? And so you want to, when Mars is in the 10th house, I do think that this is a lot of hard work physically. And once again, you are capable of doing this, but do not do this at the expense of your, because the opposite of this house is Cancer. Do not do this at the expense of your home. Do this at the expense to further your home, to build up your relationships and to make them stronger, right? And even when it comes to the sexual enhances, because Mars in the 10th house, people want you, people see you. Make sure you stay at home. Mars in Cancer, you stay Mars in Capricorn, you stay with the people that actually love you. Okay. And so that's all I have for Mars and Capricorn. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. And I'll see you guys in the next video. If you can like, comment, and share my video with someone that you think it may help them, that will be really great for me, and that will help me a lot. So thank you. And I will love you forever. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in Aquarius and Mars in the 11th house. Mars in Aquarius is expressed on a mental plane. The reason why is because Aquarius is a air sign, right? But it's also a sign of collective consciousness. And so this, in this house, or the 11th house, you are connected to collective consciousness. You understand its wants, its pain, its needs, what it needs, what it wants, what it desires, you know, what its passions are, what drives humanity. And I do think that you are very quick to act into these actions, because it's like you receive these things on a mental plane, you know, like they just come to you in a thought, and thoughts come very rapidly, right? Especially Mars in Aries, not Aries, Mars in Aquarius, it comes straight to the mind, right? And sometimes these people are really good when it comes to being involved in various projects. They can get things done very um, efficiently, especially when they're working to make a difference in the world. Okay. And also, before you act, there is a sense to always commit to um, some type of intellectual intelligence. There has to be a level of intelligence that anything is stemmed from. Like there has to be a level of science with like Mars in Aquarius, where things, you know, things need to be done. It cannot be something just very like, you know, silly in that way. It has to actually mean something grand to Mars in Aquarius for them to actually want to do something about it, right? Or them to have any goals or wishes towards this. And so Mars in Aquarius' ultimate goal is to what? Be free. And they will definitely fight back when it comes to them feeling like they have to fight for freedom, feeling any type of sense of reform. Like they do not want to feel this, right? And especially on their outlook on life. You cannot tell Mars in Aquarius what to think about life. But you definitely want to be careful with these with the revolution that Mars in Cancer bring, and Mars in Aquarius brings, because Aquarius is actually a sign of feeling as though there is no restraint, right? We are born free. We are all free. And, you know, Aries is a sense of like, I will fight you for this. And you always want to be careful for that, because sometimes it can be a one-man army, even though it's not consciously, it is physically sometimes a one-man army, right? And sometimes you have to be like, yeah, I'm fighting for the bigger picture, but I'm the only one saying this. And be discerning on when you say something and when you don't. But Mars in Aquarius, Mars in 11th house, is always going to say something. They're always going to tell you exactly what they think is right and what they think is not, depending on what's going on in the chart. That's right. They're fighting for the bigger picture of life, you know. These people can be really unpredictable, you know, because they can struggle between wanting to do things alone and wanting to be involved in group activities, wanting to do things alone because, like, godly, like, let's get this done. This is not right, you know, what's being done, or, you know, so let's get to the bottom of this. This is a very easy fix type of thing. But, you know, there is a system that goes in. Well, you have to understand that not everyone thinks how you think, right? You're the only person that think. Well, I want to say not everyone thinks how you think, meaning that these thoughts came to you so that you can alchemize them and that you can turn them into something. And sometimes it comes with working with others, but they are not always at the same perspective. But this is good in some sense, because you get a different perspective and a different way to look at something, and it gets you better working together as a team for the whole, for humanity, right? And so these people have strong desires, that are not always available, as I said, because they're thinking more about what is best for humanity, what is best for the world, what is best to really accomplish a sense of newness, new age. There is this new approach where it's like we the people, like really Mars in Aquarius is like we the people, like we understand this, right? And so they have really strong desires when it comes to getting things done. And sometimes they can come off as being detached, Sometimes they can go back and forth between being extremely involved and passionate and being detached from it, they have sexual desires, but it's almost like it's really not as important as the task at hand, right? That's what Mars in Libra, Mars in Aquarius actually shows us. Like, there's this sense of like, they can have a number of affairs, number of people wanting to have commitment with them, right? But sometimes they can't really even commit to these commitments. It's almost like I'm in it, but I'm detached from it, because Mars in Aquarius, it's like I only want to work with serious people who really understand. Like, we have to take actions. When it comes to the insights into human nature, we have to be better. We have to focus on this. And so Mars in the 11th house, because it's a house of groups and networking. There can be you can be a leader in your group circle. Actually, this can work well for you better than being in the group, you being the one that leads the charge, but not being the one that has its ears closed. You must listen, you must be open to other people's perspectives, because this can help you grow yours and actually, be more beneficial for you. And so your associations are like to be placed on mutual favors, like mutual things. Like, you actually, like I said, it has to be something that we all think this is a like-minded conversation, this is a like-minded house. And so, they take on responsibility. They're willing to take on a lot of responsibility when it comes to pursuing things energetically, or pursuing things in life that will help others and themselves define their goals. And I mean by their goals are usually, like I said, big wishes for humanity, big changes. These are people where they won't see instant gratification. No, because this is a long-term success house. This is something that is long lasting. These people can really change laws in that way. Going from something as to that we can do now that we can do in the next 15 years or something like that. Not being able to use our phone in a certain area, now we can use our phone in a certain area. These people awaken that ripple of change that needs to happen. So that is Mars in the 11th house, and Mars in Aquarius. So I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, subscribe, please, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you can like my video, if you can share with someone that you think may benefit from the video, if you think it can help them, that will be great, because it'll help me get my channel out there and grow. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so if you can help me do that, that will be great. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mars in the 12th house and Mars in Pisces. Okay, so Mars in the 12th and Mars in Pisces. This is because the 12th house is a house of internal. This is something that goes on internally. Not every because this is a house of things being hidden as well, right? And Mars is the house. I mean, Mars is a planet of assertion. It's a planet of action, of doing. And Pisces is a house of endings, of just going with the flow, of mediumship. of ancestors. It's the unknown, and Mars in this place is like, where do I go? What do I do? I need to do something, but physically. And so this placement can be really tricky in that way, and honestly, it can cause a lot of disarray within your emotional world internally. And, having these people act in ways that causes them, addictions, and that causes them to act in ways that are not the best. If things are not going in their way, if they don't get what they want, they can act out immediately, and it causes not the best ripple effect. So these people always have to be careful when it comes to accidents in that way. Anything that you do, it has to be led through creativity. Anything that you alchemize, any type of pain that you feel, it is best to alchemize it in a way that is creative. I would definitely suggest water. I would definitely suggest past life regression. You have to go in deeply internally to remove these things from the emotional body. I do think that even physically, it will not, physically it will definitely help, but physically it will not alleviate a lot of things that happens within the 12th house. The 12th house is really what's hidden. It's things that we don't talk about, but the things that happen in our dreams, the things that we don't express outwardly, but we feel very deeply. And I do think that Mars in the ninth house, they have intuitive powers. You have powers of this world. You have secrets of the universe. You're able to have these feelings it's like your feelings is the secret. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that you feel about something is really an indication of something. It's trying to tell you something. And whoever has Mars in the 12th house and Mars in Pisces, you want to always be mindful that your emotions are your indicator and are your compass to accomplishing anything, and is your compass for your vitality. Like if your stomach is hurting in some sense, usually it would be because of something that is doing with your vitality. Your emotions play a big part in this. Always, your emotional body is really forefront, and you always have to pay attention to that. And because this is a house of enemies too, I will definitely say be aware of secret enemies coming into life. It's almost like, excuse me, they come to life because you have a really active imagination, right? Who have Mars and Pisces, like this is a very active imagination. This is, you have extremely intuitive powers. Like this is someone who can really play around in the dream world, in the physical world, and understand it in a way, and understand it in a fast-paced way, but they want to do something with it. And sometimes when we're doing something with it's really, we need to do it to ourselves first. And that's where Mars in Pisces will thrive. When they're able to do all of these practices on themselves, they can help do it on another person. When they do the past life regression on themselves, they become the past life regressionist to help the next person do it for themselves. And so these people really, really thrive in their emotional world by using their actions to express their emotions. This is tricky. This is very tricky for Mars because Mars is a fire sign and it's in a water sign. So it's definitely going to be tricky in that sense. But it's not undoable. It is not undoable. You can definitely do it. And so Mars within the 12th house, actually Mars in Pisces, this is someone who is um who should use their power, the power of their divinity, because this is a house of the divinity. And like use your feelings to announce the power, that you hold within you, to generate the power that you hold within you. Like Mars in Pisces will make a great guru, or make a great shaman, or make a great teacher in that way. And I do think that you have the power, like, of imagination, as I said, but it's very compelling, almost like whatever you imagine can really happen. And it's almost scary in a way, because if you imagine yourself to be the big bad wolf, you will become the big bad wolf. If you imagine, because Mars, let's just think about this, the house of healing. This is a house of healing, and Mars rules over the house of the self. So think about it. It's like, whoever has hurt me, I now want to use my power to hurt them. And sometimes this is not the best, because we, as a Mars, whoever has Mars in Pisces, actually hurting them would be more in your spiritual practices, right? There's never a physical way that you can make this happen, and there shouldn't be, because you are so spiritually inclined, and your divinity is the power. Your divinity is what makes you different. Your divinity is like everything, you know what I'm saying, is the power that you possess. That is the way that you go. Always speak to your ancestors with this placement, okay? And this is a house of artists. You know, these people are great artists, great singers, dancers, writers, actors, like everything. You know, this is a house of, they can be great entertainers in this house, but everything has to be stemmed off of their internal nature, right? Their emotional nature, what they, how they make impressions emotionally, okay? And so these people are really receptive to their environments. They can pick up on a lot of things going on in their environment, and sometimes it causes them to have erratic behavior. If people are erratic but beside them, sometimes they can become erratic in their behavior. Always pay attention to this. And even when it comes to your subconscious, you can soar a lot within your subconscious. Mars in Pisces, or Mars within the 12th house, you can soar a lot. um you can actually shoulder a lot, because this is actually the house of forgetfulness as well. Like, you can, this is the house of the hidden. Like, you hide stuff in your brain and you bring them back when they're useful to you. That's always a great tool, right? And you know, you can shoulder a lot of responsibilities without having really a lot of complaint. And these are emotional tides that you can really deal with well, you know, because you can hide them. You can just, you know, put them under the surface and do what needs to be done, right? And I do think that's Virgo being on the other side. It's like, okay, put these emotions aside, let's get things done. But there is an intensity in feelings, even when it comes to your sexuality. It's almost like you are so in tune with a person emotionally, and you have to be emotionally in tune with them to be sexually tied up to them. And there is a sense of, you develop deep passions behind intimacy, you know. You develop deep passions behind like your sexual drive. It's like you seek to involve yourself in like just sexual relationships that take you places, like that really brings you closer to like the next person. Like, you really want to have these experiences that bring you into the next person. You're immersing yourself into the next person. These are the type of experiences that you would prefer, right? But also this can bring a lot of disappointment, you know, because people are not as open to wanting to let you into them that way. You know, when you're letting someone into your sacred chakra, even into your internal world, you are vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? You're giving up the self, and doesn't want to give it up, you know, but Pisces does. And so this is where this struggle comes from. But I do think that um you know you're like, during your lifetime, you can attract a lot of friends that bring you material gain, that help you get material gain, friends that help you get into like these associations, or to get into any type of environments, because this can be like the spiritual sense, you know, like or retreats and things of that nature, where you meet people. You can attract these different things in your life, and they really are influential. You know, they really influence your life, and they can help influence another person's life. And so you have really good luck when it comes to that, you know, almost like attracting that shaman and then becoming the shaman, like attracting the teacher and then becoming the teacher. So that's all I have for Mars within the 12th house and Mars in Pisces. I hope that was helpful. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, please, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you haven't liked or comment on this video, please do so. I am trying to grow my channel, and that will be great if you can help me do that. I keep losing my track of time. But yes, I will love you forever if you can help me grow my channel. That is really important to me. So thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.